A miraculous ending to what could have been a terrible tragedy on the Hudson, and today, the search for answers.
And our other top story, the Arctic blast continues with one of the coldest mornings we've seen in years.
Live from Studio 7E in Rockefeller Center, this is News 4 New York.
Good Friday morning, everyone. It's January 16th. I'm Erica Tarantel in for Darlene this morning.
I'm Michael Gargiulo. We're going to have much more on the amazing plane crash and the amazing reaction of everyone involved. But first, we want to check in with Chris, because really another part of the story, Chris, is the weather yesterday and the weather today as well.
It's unbelievable how cold the water was, how cold the air temperature was, that everybody got out of there safely. But this morning, we're all dealing with the bitter cold. Wind chills down below zero. Actual air temperatures down below zero. 10 below in Sussex right now, 8 below Middletown. So in the city, 14 is pretty balmy. We only get back to the upper teens with a good deal of sunshine. That's kind of feeble sun, though. It doesn't do very much in warming things up. We'll talk more about the weekend forecast. Slightly milder days ahead coming up on the 4s.
Okay, thanks, Chris. And a first quick check of the roads, Megan.
Well, obviously, because of that plane landing yesterday in the Hudson, that has affected the New York waterway service. So if you take the ferry in and out of World Financial Center, it's not in service this morning. They're rerouting to Pier 11. They are offering buses between the World Financial Center and the pier, also cross-honoring World Financial Center tickets there at the pier. So plan accordingly for that. Now let's take it out quickly to the West Side Highway, where cars should not be affected this morning by yesterday's miraculous landing there. Buses, however, the M42 and M50 are being rerouted on the West Side Highway, so expect some delays if you do take those buses. We'll take a look at some road closures related to the plane coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Megan, thanks. It had all the makings of a disaster, but it turned into a miracle instead. A plane full of passengers plunging into the Hudson River after its engines were apparently disabled by a flock of birds.
Yeah, it was thanks to the pilots of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 and countless rescuers, including ferry boat operators, that everyone on board lived to tell really an incredible story of survival.
Well, today, federal investigators are going to begin their search for clues into just what caused those planes' engines to stop working, while the passengers deal with the magnitude of what just happened to them.
We do have live team coverage this morning with Tracy Strahan live in Battery Park. Ida Siegel's at LaGuardia Airport, but we begin with Tracy, who's near the wreckage of the plane this morning. Tracy.
Erica, good morning to you. Here we are hours later, and you can still see that part of this Airbus A320 is protruding out of the Hudson. Now, it's down here in Battery Park City with NTSB GO teams already in the city will conduct their investigation, and their first focus will likely be geese.
Each second of the harrowing moments for passengers and crew on board Flight 1549 will be combed by NTSB investigators today. Radar tapes and cockpit voice and audio recordings that likely captured pilot Chesley Sullenberger III delivering the dreaded directive to brace for impact.
We'll be looking into all aspects of the accident.
Less than 5 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte, North Carolina, the pilot reportedly radioed into air traffic controllers that the plane suffered a double bird strike, both engines completely shut down. Sullenberger, a pilot with 40 years of flight experience, made the snap call to ditch the plane in the Hudson near 50th Street and 12th Avenue, with the goal of avoiding any damage on land. As soon as the belly of the Airbus A320 hit water, emergency help swarmed into action.
As soon as my guys heard the plane, 4 boats were on site immediately.
Those New York waterway ferries served as makeshift triage for the wet and visibly shaken passengers. Miraculously, the most serious injury suffered was 2 broken legs. Investigators will now focus on the possibility of the plane hitting geese and where the flight may have encountered them.
The ingestion of a bird creates damage. That is, it'll tear up the fan blades.
They'll also likely look at ways of preventing that occurrence in the future.
Back live in Battery Park City, where the Coast Guard has set up a 500-foot perimeter around that plane to prevent any boats from hitting it during the darkness. We're expected to hear from the NTSB investigators an update on this later this morning. We're live in Battery Park City. Tracy Strahan, Today in New York.
Okay, Tracy, thank you very much. We want to go to Dan Rice now. He's in Chopper 4, and he's actually over the Hudson, over the scene. And Dan, from your viewpoint right there, we can see the tail assembly of this plane.
That's right, Michael. What you're looking at on the right side of that picture there is the tail assembly. Also, you can see the left wing protruding up out of the water, which means the right wing dipping into the water. You can see crews around the scene here trying to get a handle on the situation with this airplane that has come to rest. So they brought it down to Battery Park City. Let me give you an idea where this plane, though, first began. You can see the Battery Park City lights there. We come up the river, and you're going to see that this plane was basically, when it made its emergency landing on the river, landed right over here by the Intrepid Museum. So you can see once the incident happened and they had the people out on the wings and rescuing them, that plane floated about 4 miles from the initial landing site down to Battery Park City, where they have tied up the airplane. And of course, the miracle, as the Hudsoners are calling it here, you can see as we bring back in the camera, crews will be going over this plane to see what they can get from this accident. Reporting live in Chopper Forum, Dan Rice, Michael and Erica, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Dan. Time now for weather and traffic. And weather was really part of the story yesterday, an amazing sequence of events, not to mention how cold it was.
I mean, that was the bottom line. The water temperature, air temperature, and wind chills that were near zero in single digits. Fortunately, actually, the snow had moved out of the way. Remember, earlier in the day, we had some pretty heavy bursts of snow in the morning, so that wasn't an issue, but the wind and the cold certainly was a miracle, as they said. Meantime, this morning, we're dealing with more cold, and it looks like it's not going to ease up all that quickly. It'll take a while through the day, and tonight we stay well below where we should be for this time of year. Wind chills below zero, brutal cold temperatures. A lot of air temperatures this morning in the suburbs are below zero, and we'll see that repeat again overnight tonight. Frigid start to the weekend, too, but dry, and then another clipper could bring us another round of some light snow sometime later Sunday or Sunday night. Right now, though, temperatures shaping up like this. It's a dozen in the city now, 8 at Islip, 9 below. Out eastern Long Island, the Pine Barrens, 9 below in Middletown, 12 below zero in Sussex right now. And this is all under a mostly clear sky. So it's dangerously cold. You really don't want to stay outdoors for a long period of time. And that means about 10 minutes. That's all it's going to take when you're dealing with wind chills as low as 10 to 20 below, which is in parts of the area a possibility. That's why we have that wind chill advisory in effect. But you can see right now, wind chills even in the city are below zero. So bundle up, hang in there. It'll get a little bit better by the end of the weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up on the Force.
It's going to get better than 13, I hope so.
Things are only looking up.
Megan, what's happening?
Exactly.
Okay, well, good morning, everybody. Related to the plane crash yesterday, there are some road closures in the city. Chambers Street right at West Street and also River Terrace at Warren Street closed with some related police activity this morning. Now let's take it out to New Jersey, see how the commute's doing. If you're coming in from there, there is an accident, Route 80 in Wayne right now. It's right at exit 53. That's Route 46 there. The off-ramp is closed, so plan accordingly for that. But the turnpike looks good, so let's take a look out by Newark Airport. Here it is. Everything is moving smoothly for you, both northbound and southbound. If you're looking for a parking space this morning, they have suspended alternate side parking rules today for snow removal, but you do still have to feed the meters. And that's a look at the roads.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan. Well, continuing our coverage of this plane crash, many passengers of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 are settled into area hotels this morning, some hoping to get home today, while others have already left, actually. Ida Siegel is live outside LaGuardia Airport following that part of the story. Ida.
And Erica, you have to imagine for a number of passengers, it's just simply too soon to get back on a plane. And for them, U.S. Airways is making arrangements for train tickets. But for others, the priority is to get home as soon as possible, see loved ones, give them a hug, and quite frankly, give thanks for being alive.
Meet their family members that were on the flight.
Whether they spent the night at the Crowne Plaza Hotel near LaGuardia Airport or left the hospital emergency room only a few hours ago, this morning, the passengers of Flight 1549 are likely only now wrapping their minds around the incredible ordeal they survived yesterday afternoon.
The water came up. I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and, I just thought I was going to drown right there in the back of the plane because you couldn't move.
23-year-old Bill Zahoski describing what must have been a nightmare. The plane had hit the Hudson and no one knew what was next.
Once we saw panic with the stewardesses, then everybody started to panic. Then you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. How do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
But they did. And miraculously, every single person on that plane made it out alive. Some had minor injuries. Everyone suffered through the extreme cold in the air and the water, but they all survived. 150 passengers, 2 pilots, and 3 flight attendants who this morning are either with or on their way to see their loved ones.
Well, I gave 6 of them my phone to call their loved ones, but other than that, I kept telling them they'll be going to be okay.
Incredible, and you can imagine seeing those loved ones in person will certainly be the priority today. There is a U.S. Airways flight headed to Charlotte at 6:30, so they will have the opportunity to do that. We're live at LaGuardia Airport this morning. Ida Siegel, Today in New York.
Okay, Ida, thank you very much. And as Ida and that survivor pointed out, a main concern for the passengers and the crew coming out of the frigid waters of the Hudson was hypothermia. That's when the body's temperature does drop abnormally low. As rescuers pulled people from that water, they were greeted with warm blankets, hugs as well. This from the emergency crew. They're just trying to warm them up. Of the 155 passengers and the flight crew members on board, 11 of them were taken to Roosevelt Hospital.
That I'm aware of, there's only mild hypothermia, which is just amazing based on the weather today.
A good dozen of them had, some hypothermia that needed to be treated right away, or it would have got worse, but nobody was critical.
Yeah, that was very fortunate. Many survivors were taken first to the ferry terminal in Weehawken. Most were treated for hypothermia there as well, and also there as well. None of those cases were fortunately too serious.
And now we have some dramatic new video of the moments after the plane's emergency landing. Overnight, the Coast Guard released these images from security cameras. The first shows the first ferry to respond after the plane hit the water. Ferry not quite in the picture there. Within minutes, several other ferries responded, as well as 3 Coast Guard helicopters. That's what you're seeing in this video. Finally, this video shows just how strong the current was as it pulls the ferries and the plane down the Hudson. The Coast Guard stayed on the rescue overnight to assess environmental impact of the incident. And now, among the many people who watched the unexpected landing unfold was the Net's Vince Carter. He tells the Times he was in the bedroom of his apartment in Weehawken, and he saw that plane go down. Carter said he could even hear the impact. He called the experience unbelievable.
We have received many pictures from witnesses who were near the scene of that flight, the down flight 1549. So we want to show you some pictures. This is from Joanna Katz. It was taken right after the U.S. Airways plane made that emergency landing. And you can see there the passengers, they're literally standing on the wing, and you also see that raft that's been deployed outside the forward door, the cabin door. I'll show you another picture. This was sent to us by Jonathan Allen. Looking back towards Manhattan here, you can see a helicopter hovering above the scene. The plane there is in the lower left-hand portion of the picture. Finally, we want to show you a photo sent to us by John Dalton. Once again, looking back towards Manhattan here, and you can see the plane surrounded by those flurries. Now, if you were in the area when that plane went down and you do have pictures to share, do please send them to our website. Just go to NBCNewYork.com, and you'll find the story right there on our homepage, and we do certainly appreciate your photos. It gives us a view that we may not get from other people.
Yeah, certainly, and those pictures are some of the best ones.
Absolutely.
All right, well, some other headlines of the morning when Today New York continues, including the latest on the fighting in Gaza.
We're also going to continue our coverage of the miracle on the Hudson, as we're calling it. We're going to hear from passengers of the magnitude of what's been through finally hits them. Time for weather and traffic on the 4s, but before we feel sorry for ourselves, remember, it could always be worse. This is the view from Bismarck, North Dakota here. The National Weather Service saying temperatures dropped to 44 degrees below zero. Now, near Fargo, balmy Fargo as they refer to it, temperatures were hit minus 27. That was just before 8 o'clock yesterday morning. And then an hour and a half later, Chris, it warmed up to just 23 degrees below zero.
Meltdown.
Hot times.
Yeah.
So now we don't feel so bad.
No, we don't feel so bad.
No, I guess it's all relative. Yeah, sure it is.
Yeah.
Except if you
As we sit in here, we're saying
in
it's
North
relative.
Dakota, then you expect that.
Except you're all in Florida now.
Yeah, absolutely. The snow geese, as they call them, they migrate down to the south. And unfortunately, we're all stuck up here right now, and we're in this bitter cold. And I'm going to show you how cold some of the suburbs are. They're pretty nasty down below zero. 12 in the city isn't all that bad, mostly clear sky. But it is because the wind is stirring up a bit at 12 miles an hour, gusting to 17, making for a wind chill of 2 below zero. Humidity 53%. Strong Arctic high pressure. That's why we're looking at a strong barometric reading of 30.46. Records on the date. The record high on this date was 58, set back in 1995, but it did get down to 1 degree. Not too long ago in 2004, that one is safe. We'll come a little shy of that, and 13 inches of snowfall in the state way back in 1879. Outside of the city, we are the warm spot at 12. A couple of double-digit locations. Seaside Heights at 10 and Atlantic City 14, but Brentwood is 8. It's 9 below out in the Pine Barrens, 6 in Norwalk, 3 below Poughkeepsie, 9 below in Montgomery, and 7 in Caldwell. If that's not cold enough for you, let's bring it out further west. And when you have this kind of an Arctic air mass over a deeper snowpack, this is what happens. 10 below Cleveland, 16 below in Chicago right now. Nashville, Actually, your in-laws, Michael, are colder than us. They're 7 degrees right now, and it's 5 below zero in Cincinnati. That's not wind chill. That's the actual air temperatures. Wind chill's nearby, 1 below in the city right now. When the wind kicks up, feels like a 10 below in Middletown, 14 below wind chill in Monticello. Out in Mount Pocono right now, 18 below wind chill. So bundle up. This is really dangerous stuff. You have to have gloves, certainly something on your head, and preferably a scarf around your neck as well. We are in the clear, though. Very quiet weather-wise. High pressure's in charge. Nothing going on all the way out through the Midwest. There is another clipper sitting off screen up in north central Canada that'll slide in our direction by the time we get to Sunday. So a frigid morning, that's for sure. Still fairly breezy as well. The wind may ease a little bit later on today. It will be bright, but it's going to stay bitter. Temperatures really not getting out of the teens all day long, and we'll slowly climb out of that tomorrow. 19 in the park for a high. Up to the north and west, we're in the low to mid-teens across the Catskills and nearby suburbs, mostly in the mid and upper teens with that west wind averaging 8 to 14 miles an hour. Tonight, 9 in the city, 2 in Greenwich, 7 in Deer Park, 9 below up in Ellenville, about 1 in Chester, and 4 below all the way out Mount Pocono again with a clear to partly cloudy sky. So another cold one certainly coming up for tonight. 7-day forecast, cold, quiet day tomorrow, 24. Doesn't drop off much tomorrow night. Steady temperatures, we think. Another clipper approaches us Sunday with perhaps some light snow, 32. Sunday night into Monday, there will be a storm forming offshore. We think far enough offshore right now. We'll keep clouds in the forecast for Monday at 34. Still cold but dry Tuesday, Wednesday, and slowly easing up by Thursday. We're back above freezing at 37 for the high. Let's get an update on this cold start this Friday morning. Here's Megan.
Okay, Chris, at least we have 6 degrees more than Michael's relatives, huh? We'll be grateful for that. Okay, let's take a look at some video from compliments of Chopper 4. Here it is yesterday, the plane that hit the Hudson. Let's talk about how it's affecting your commute this morning. The New York Waterway Service has been suspended in and out of the World Financial Center because of this mess from yesterday. Service is being rerouted to Pier 11. They are cross-honoring tickets there between the from the World Financial Center. They're also offering buses between the World Financial Center and Pier 11. Let's now take a look at our map and talk about the roads this morning and talk about some construction. The New England Thruway northbound between exits 14 and 17 does have some road work this morning. That's right around the Hutch, exit 14. And then southbound between exits 13 and 8, that's in the Pelham area, you will run into some construction as well. Now let's take it out to the east side and take a look at the FDR. Everything is moving very smoothly southbound and northbound. Of course, West Side Highway, we mentioned earlier, is not affected so far by yesterday's plane landing, so cars should be getting through there just fine. There was some construction on the FDR, but it's been picked up. If you want to stay updated on all of this when you're heading to work, you can tune into 1010 Winds right there on your car radio. And that's Look at the Roads, guys.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. A frigid 35 degrees. That was the bone-chilling water temperature when U.S. Airways Flight 1549 went down into the Hudson. Shaken, soaked, and cold, 155 survivors managed to get off the plane, and they amazingly escaped major injuries.
Pat Battle has more on the passengers who were taken to Weehawken, New Jersey in the aftermath of that landing.
I prayed and prayed and prayed. Believe me, I prayed. And for the 64-year-old grandmother of 6 and her fellow passengers, their prayers were answered. The pilot of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 able to guide the jet away from the high rises along Manhattan's west side and set her down in the icy Hudson River.
I got to tell my family I love them one more time. It's what we all should do every day.
The pilot is the hero. The pilot's your hero? Absolutely. The pilot saved our lives. That was the unanimous consensus from the passengers who survived that hard water landing in the Hudson. About half of them were brought by ferry across the water to the New York Waterways Ferry Terminal and to Port Arthur here in Weehawken, where they were checked out and evaluated and processed. Most of them treated for hypothermia. None of their injuries serious. I am terrific. This is the best day ever. Several people, at least a half dozen, were brought out on stretchers, but most were able to walk on their own to a waiting New Jersey Transit bus where they seemed anxious to talk to the media, but police kept reporters at a distance.
It was one of the best landings I've ever experienced.
On board the bus, they handed out white socks to the passengers who were clearly thankful to be able to tell their miraculous story. They were texting from stretchers. They were calling family members on cell phones and giving the thumbs up to signal that they were okay.
And we train for things like this all the time, but when you think that with a minute's notice you could mobilize over 100 ambulances and have them here with all of this extra support, as well as the police and fire personnel, it's just a tremendous effort.
All told, about 60 of those passengers were ferried across the Hudson River here to Weehawken, where most of them declined to go to the hospital. The most serious injury, a sprained ankle, although all were suffering from hypothermia. Most just wanted to be reunited with their families and no doubt will be telling this story for generations. In Weehawken, New Jersey, Pat Battle, Today in New York.
Truly amazing.
It's amazing.
We'll be back with more coverage after this. Welcome back on this Friday morning. After 3 weeks of violence in Gaza, Israel's foreign minister has meetings planned in Washington aimed at a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israeli forces say its warplane struck 40 targets overnight, but an Israeli spokesman says the conflict is in its final act. A plan is on the table to suspend fighting for 10 days while security details are worked out. Michael?
Thanks, Erica. Today, President-elect Barack Obama returns to an election battleground state, one hard hit by job losses, in order to promote the new economic stimulus plan. And as he looks ahead, last night, President Bush bid Americans farewell. Brooke Hart is in Washington with our coverage of the presidential transition. Brooke.
Good morning, Michael. For Barack Obama today, it's about selling the stimulus. He got best wishes last night from President Bush, who, in a farewell address, summed up his tumultuous 2 terms. President Bush stepped up to the East Room podium for a final time after 8 years shaped early on by attack and since then by 2 wars. The president gave his view of history's headline.
America has gone more than 7 years without another terrorist attack on our soil.
Now George Bush leaves office with the U.S. facing the worst financial crisis in generations.
These are very tough times for hard-working families, but the toll would be far worse if we had not acted.
Acted to pump money into the nation's banks.
The yeas are 42. The nays are 52.
With the Senate's okay, Barack Obama will oversee the rest of the Wall Street bailout. Already another $20 billion of it will go to Bank of America, a new government lifeline. Today, Mr. Obama goes to Ohio to detail his bigger plan for aid, some $825 billion in spending and tax cuts.
All of it stimulus to the economy, all part of the recovery.
Some Obama allies call it too little, not Republicans.
Oh, my God.
Who warned that backers are pushing big government.
They're moving on this path along the flawed notion that we can borrow and spend our way back to prosperity.
Prosperity even Barack Obama doesn't promise.
Of the United States. Of the United States.
Last night, a first inaugural ball to toast the transition. Preschoolers in Maryland, their futures being written now. Today, President-elect Obama tours a wind turbine plant in Bedford Heights, Ohio. He'll say clean energy is one big way his mega stimulus plan will put Americans back to work. Live in Washington, I'm Brooke Hart. Michael and Erica, back to you.
All right, thank you, Brooke. Time now for weather and traffic. We begin with Chris Cimino, who's standing by in the Weather Center with some even colder temperatures.
Yeah, unfortunately, they keep dropping all morning long and probably will another hour or 2. We'll see those readings level off. Below 0 temperatures in some locations north and west. We're at 12 in the city, 2 below in Monticello, 3 below in Poughkeepsie, 8 Islip, 10 at Belmar, 11 in Newark, and 8 in Morristown. You bring in the wind, oh boy, 2 below 0 is what it feels like in the city of Newark, but as low as 14 below in Monticello, 5 below the current wind chill in White Plains. The wind actually isn't all that bad out there, all things considered. But again, this is dangerous cold. You need to protect yourself. 19 the expected high by the end of the day with a good deal of sunshine around. And then into tonight, we'll call it clear to partly cloudy. Low temperatures slip into the single numbers in the city. About 9 should do it. Near or below 0 once again for many suburbs. We'll talk more about the 7-day forecast coming up in a little bit. Of course, you get the weather any time of day by going to the Weather Channel, weather.com. Let's go to Megan now. Get the update on our early Friday morning commute.
Okay, Chris, we will stay bundled up today. Let's talk about how the plane hitting the Hudson is affecting your commute today. There are some road closures in the city. Chambers Street right at West Street, as well as River Terrace at Warren Street, closed with some police activity related to that. Now let's talk about accidents. Let's take it out to our map of Route 80 in Wayne. Still a problem there at Route 46. That's exit 53, I should say. The off-ramp is closed there from a crash this morning, so plan accordingly for those delays. Now, if you're coming in from Long Island, let's take a look at the LIE out by the Little Neck Parkway. There is some traffic building there westbound. That's the traffic coming at you. Further east, after Patchogue Holbrook Road, that's exit 61, a right lane is blocked with an accident, and a second crash on the LIE between exits 66 and 67. Again, that's way out east. Here's the Grand Central Parkway. Everything looks much better there. Of course, there's LaGuardia in the background. A lot of nervous flyers today, but no trouble on the roads there. And that is a look at the commute this morning, guys.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan. It's now 5:29. Up ahead, the investigation into the emergency landing on the Hudson continues, of course, today.
And here right now is a live look at that wreckage. It's still in the river this morning. Our top stories coming up next. A miraculous ending to what could have been a terrible tragedy on the Hudson, and today, the search for answers.
And our other top story, the Arctic blast continues with one of the coldest mornings we've seen in years. Good Friday morning, everyone. It is January 16th. I'm Erica Tarantel in for Darlene Rodriguez.
I'm Michael Gargiulo. We're going to have much more on the amazing events that happened yesterday. First, we do want to check with Chris because we do have something happening today, which is some cold temperatures.
Yeah, it's bitter out there this morning. Any length of time, and I mean 5-10 minutes to exposed hands or even your face could lead to some issues. So make sure to wear the hat, the gloves, and the scarf if possible if you're going to be standing at a bus stop or an outdoor train stop. 12 is nice when it's donuts, it doesn't, but not when it's your temperature. No. 8 degrees at Islip, it's 8 in White Plains. It's 9 below zero in Middletown and 12 below zero in Sussex. That's the actual air temperature. Some wind chills this morning on the order of 10 to 20 below. Only gets back to the upper teens, but it's sunny. How about that?
Hey,
there you
that's
go.
Good.
That's an up.
There you go.
That's an up.
Except the sunglasses make your face colder.
And
I noticed that yesterday.
Stick.
Yeah, because they get cold and they sit on your skin, right? Okay. Well, let's talk about how ferry service is affected this morning because of the plane hitting the Hudson. There is no service to the World Financial Center, in and out of the World Financial Center. They're rerouting to Pier 11 where they will cross honor tickets there. There's also bus service between the World Financial Center and Pier 11 this morning. Now let's take a quick look at the Hudson River crossings. Let's look at the George Washington Bridge. It is a good ride right now, very quiet. In fact, Hudson's in general, Lincoln, Holland, Tap, all trouble-free. Do want to remind you also M42 buses and M50 buses along the Henry Hudson Highway could be delayed this morning because of police activity related to the plane. And that's a look at the west side.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan. Now right on to our top story, what some are calling a miracle on the Hudson. U.S. Airways Flight 1549 went into the water just minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport.
But thanks to the heroic efforts of the pilots, the passengers, and the crew, all 155 passengers and those on board managed to avoid any serious injuries.
Yeah, truly amazing. Today, federal investigators begin their search for clues into what caused the plane's engines to stop working while passengers deal with the magnitude of what happened.
We have live team coverage this morning. Ida Siegel is at LaGuardia Airport, but we're going to begin with Tracy Strahan. She's right near the wreckage of the plane in Battery Park City. Tracy.
Well, Michael, this plane is in its resting place in the Hudson River right behind us, still partially submerged with a part of the wing sticking out. FDNY boats have been patrolling the area all morning long, and NTSB investigators will be briefing us in just a few hours about that emergency landing that could have been so much worse.
Each second of the harrowing moments for passengers and crew on board Flight 1549 will be combed by NTSB investigators today. Radar tapes and cockpit voice and audio recordings that likely captured pilot Chesley Sullenberger III delivering the dreaded directive to brace for impact.
We'll be looking into all aspects of the accident.
Less than 5 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte, North Carolina, the pilot reportedly radioed into air traffic controllers that the plane suffered a double bird strike, both engines completely shut down. Sullenberger, a pilot with 40 years of flight experience, made the snap call to ditch the plane in the Hudson near 50th Street and 12th Avenue, with the goal of avoiding any damage on land. As soon as the belly of the Airbus A320 hit water, emergency help swarmed into action.
As soon as my guys heard the plane, 4 boats were on site immediately.
Those New York waterway ferries served as makeshift triage for the wet and visibly shaken passengers. Miraculously, the most serious injury suffered was 2 broken legs. Investigators will now focus on the possibility of the plane hitting geese and where the flight may have encountered them.
The ingestion of a bird creates damage. That is, it'll tear up the fan blades.
They'll also likely look at ways of preventing that occurrence in the future.
Now, as extreme as it seems, bird strikes are actually not uncommon. More than 7,000 of them were reported back in 2007. Again, the NTSB expected to brief us on the latest in this investigation in just a few hours. We're live in Battery Park City this morning. Tracy Strahan, Today in New York.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Time now for weather and traffic on the 4s. And weather was really such a big part of this story as well, because it was mild hypothermia that amazingly was the most common injury.
And it was because of limited exposure. Actually, they weren't there that long. The rescue crews got there quickly. Otherwise, you're talking about wind chills down around 0, air temperatures in the upper teens, and water temperatures in the mid-30s. Not a good combination. In the meantime, this morning, not a great combination. If you're just standing outside for a little while, we've got temperatures that are in the single digits, even below 0 north and west, to the low teens in the city. Sub-zero wind chills. It stays frigid right on into the start of the weekend, too. Although it should be dry and fairly sunny both today and tomorrow. Another clipper brings with it a period of snow, we think, later Sunday into Sunday night. Right now, here are your temperatures. 8 in Islip, 8 in White Plains, but it's 9 below in Middletown, 3 below Poughkeepsie. And you can see where there's a little more of snowpack. Notice where those temperatures dramatically drop off. It's 12 below 0 up in Sussex right now. That's the actual air temperatures, again, while it's 12 in the city. So that's a 24-degree difference there. Wind chill advisory, distant suburbs north and west, 10 to 20 below wind chills this morning. In the city right now, it feels like 1 below. But throughout the morning, probably 0 to 5 below in and close to the city, and as low as 15 below with the wind chills north and west. That's just nasty. That's the only way to put it.
Don't get technical on us.
No.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's check in with Megan. We do have some changes because of what happened yesterday.
That's right. Some road closures related to yesterday. Chambers Street is closed at West Street. River Terrace is closed at Warren Street. Now let's talk about our accidents this morning. There are 2 of them. The first one is for New Jersey commuters. It's Route 80 in Wayne, right at exit 53. An off-ramp is closed there with that crash this morning. Now let's take a look at the LIE out by the Grand Central Parkway. A lot of traffic building westbound there. The LIE accident is way out east after Patchogue Holbrook Road at exit 61, and a second crash between 66 and 67. Now we're going to take it up to Dan Rice. He's in Chopper 4 over the Hudson River, and he's going to tell us about how ferry service is being affected. Dan?
That's right, Megan. You look at that plane that's tied up outside of Battery Park City, not far from the berth for the New York Waterway ferries that go into the World Financial Center. So because of that, what you're going to have is no service into and out of the Financial Center. Over here to the right side of your picture here, those ferries will be rerouted to the east side of Manhattan over by the Pier 11, which is right by Wall Street. If you are on the ferry that goes over there, you want to keep in mind that there will be shuttle service between the Wall Street area and the World Financial Center. But again, New York Waterway, no ferry service into and out of the World Financial Center because of the investigation and the activity around that plane over there in Battery Park City. Reporting live in Chopper 4, Dan Rice. Michael, back to you.
Dan, thanks very much. And many passengers who were on board U.S. Airways Flight 1549, they're settled into area hotels this morning. Some are actually hoping to get home today. Others, though, have already left. Ida Siegel is live outside LaGuardia Airport. She's following that part of our coverage this morning. Ida.
And Michael, we're at the U.S. Airways terminal, which is actually fairly quiet this morning, likely a welcome change from the crazed atmosphere yesterday. It is lost on no one how disastrous this event could have been. It wasn't. And today, the passengers are alive to tell amazing stories of survival. Whether they spent the night at the Crowne Plaza Hotel near LaGuardia Airport or left the hospital emergency room only a few hours ago, this morning, the passengers of Flight 1549 are likely only now wrapping their minds around the incredible ordeal they survived yesterday afternoon.
The water came up. I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and, I just thought I was going to drown right there in the back of the plane because you couldn't move.
23-year-old Bill Zahoski describing what must have been a nightmare. The plane had hit the Hudson and no one knew what was next.
Once we saw panic with the stewardesses, then everybody started to panic. Then you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. How do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
But they did. And miraculously, every single person on that plane made it out alive. Some had minor injuries. Everyone suffered through the extreme cold in the air and the water, but they all survived. 150 passengers, 2 pilots, and 3 flight attendants who this morning are either with or on their way to see their loved ones.
Well, I gave 6 of them my phone to call their loved ones, but other than that, I kept telling them they'll be going to be okay.
And you can imagine today will be a day of many happy reunions. There is a U.S. Airways flight headed to Charlotte at 6:35 this morning, and we're going to see if some of those passengers might be headed home this morning. We're live at LaGuardia Airport. Ida Siegel, Today in New York.
I'm sure they'll be glad to get home. Thank you, Ida. Now, you've seen in all the video, the pictures. In order to get the passengers to the hospital, a fleet of ferries was called into action. Photos show some of the New York Waterway and Circle Line ferries that reached the plane minutes after it hit the water. Some passengers were pulled on board the ferries from lifeboats. Others climbed onto the ferries right from the plane's wings.
I tell you, if the boats weren't there that quickly and the way the hospital responded here, if they weren't ready here, it would have been tough.
There are ferries out there. They jumped up right away and probably saved an awful lot of lives.
Yeah, New York Waterways alone had 14 ferries at that scene.
Everybody was pitching in yesterday. It was just great. We'll be right back with some of the other news of the morning. We'll be back. An NYPD officer has been stabbed in the left eye by a man described as emotionally disturbed. Police say that that man also stabbed a second officer in the hand. This is before he was subdued and arrested. The incident happened last night on Collier Avenue in Far Rockaway. The officers were taken to Jamaica Hospital, and police say the man accused of stabbing them, he was taken to St. John's Hospital for evaluation. So far, no names have been released.
The trial of an American college student and her Italian boyfriend accused of murder is underway in Italy. Amanda Knox of Washington State arrived at the courthouse this morning. She and her boyfriend are charged with sexually assaulting and killing a British exchange student. Today, the victim's family is asking that the trial be closed to the public, but Britain's Sky News reports the judge has ruled to keep that trial open.
A Hudson County judge has postponed a custody hearing for a 3-year-old named Adolf Hitler Campbell and his 2 younger sisters. Adolf is seen here with his parents, Heath and Deborah Campbell. No word yet as to why that hearing was postponed or when it will be rescheduled. Now, the family got news coverage last month. You might remember this, when a supermarket refused to put Adolf's name on a birthday cake. His 2 sisters have white supremacist names as well. Officials won't say why those children were removed from their parents' home, but we're told it was not specifically because of those names.
It's 5:44 right now. Time for weather and traffic on the 4th. So we begin with Chris, who has a chilling news to deliver.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's all about the cold, not only today, but it's going to last probably through at least the first half of the weekend. Then it eases up a little bit by the time we get to Sunday. Not easing up yet, boy. It's got the pedal to the metal, so to speak. The Arctic air this morning, 12. Again, with a mostly clear sky out there in the city, we are one of the warmer spots. West wind at 12, gusting to 17, creating a wind chill of 2 below 0. It's dry air, and strong high pressure in charge at 30-46 and rising. Means it's going to stay fairly dry and sunny today and even into a good part of the day tomorrow. Across the country, check out some of these numbers. Atlanta, 14 degrees right now. 15 in Memphis. New Orleans, 35. Not so easy. 24 in Dallas. Albuquerque, 34. But look to the north here. Chicago, 16 below. Minneapolis, 18 below 0. Even Pittsburgh at 5 below 0 this morning. Closer to home, we've got some below 0 numbers. We're not left out of it. Sussex, 12 below. 2 below in Monticello. 9 below up in Middletown. It's 3 below in Poughkeepsie. Again, the snow line a little bit deeper up in here, and that's why with the clear sky, the Arctic air really gets to go to work there. 11 at Newark, 8 at Islip, and 10 down in Belmar. That's not too shabby either. In the meantime, across the country, it's very quiet. There's not a storm to be found from coast to coast, so some good news there. These Clipper systems, you can see where the jet stream's firing straight out of Canada by the motion of these clouds, and every couple of days we get a Clipper coming on through. Another one will arrive on Sunday. It may hook up with some offshore moisture. It's going to be a close call later Sunday night to Monday whether we see significant snow or just a light snow. Right now we're leaning toward it being a lighter snow. We do know this much. It will be a frigid start and a frigid finish to the day today, despite a good deal of sunshine, especially breezy the first half of the day. The wind should lighten up towards the end of the day, but it stays bitter cold. Temperatures not getting out of the teens for highs this afternoon. 19 should do it in the city, 20 in Lakewood, 15 in Greenwich, 18 out in Southampton, north and west. We're talking low to middle teens for high temperatures and wind chills often below 0. 19 today, a good deal of sunshine, really just way too cold for this time of the year. And then tonight, the low temperature slips down to about 9 in the city, but we're talking near or below 0 once again in the suburbs. Quick look at the 7-day forecast. Does it get any better? A little bit. 24 tomorrow, baby steps. 32 on Sunday with that Clipper bringing a bit of light snow. 34 Monday, and then we stay 30-ish Tuesday and Wednesday and get above freezing by the time we get to Thursday. One of those mornings where the car, if it could talk, would say, please don't try to start me. Anybody on the roads yet, Megan?
You had a lot of B's in your report today. Below, bright, bitter. Very helpful, that letter B. Let's take a look at Route 9 at our map. We do have a trouble spot there. This is related to a structure fire this morning. It's causing some detours right in the Mount Pleasant area. That's Sleepy Hollow Road between there and Phelps Way is closed right now. Again, Route 9 in both directions right there because of a structure fire. Now let's see how things are doing for Long Island commuters coming in. Here's a look at the Northern State Parkway just past Lakeville Road, eastbound and westbound. No accidents there to speak of. Some traffic is building westbound towards the city. Now, as you get into into the city. Here's the LIE approaching the Midtown Tunnel. Looks good there as well. Where the trouble is way out on the island, eastbound LIE after Patchogue Holbrook Road. That's exit 61, an accident. And then westbound between exit 66 and 67, a second accident. And some construction eastbound as well, right by exit 61. But again, that's all way out there. If you want to stay updated on any of this, you can tune into 1010 Wins on your car radio. And that's the scoop.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. We want to return to our top story right now, the miracle on the Hudson, as it's being called. While many people worked hard to rescue the passengers, one man on board is being credited with selflessly putting others ahead of himself. Brian Thompson has that story.
Was she afraid?
Oh, she was terrified.
Charlotte businessman David Sanderson talking about a mom and her baby he helped to safety. In the chaos of those few minutes, a mother stood on the wing, clutching her baby, frozen in fear.
And the people on the lifeboat kept saying, "Pastor, throw us a baby, throw us a baby." And she wouldn't do it.
From the ER at Palisades Medical Center, this Charlotte businessman and father of 4 described how they first pulled the mother out of the plane, then got her to throw the baby into a boat.
Myself and the other gentleman were just like, "Get the baby out, get the baby, throw the baby, do something." And she did, and finally we both picked her up and just threw her on the lifeboat.
Inside the plane, right after impact,
it was controlled chaos. It was people started running over the seats. People started running up the aisle.
I asked Sanderson about the code of women and children first.
There's an old saying from the shipfaring days, women and children first. Was it like that on that airplane?
No.
But the code was in effect for Sanderson, helping till the last person got off.
I feel that I am the last person to leave the plane. That's what I was taught. That's what you do. You do the right thing.
Sanderson told me his feet were cold, oh so very cold, worse than numb, and yet he's hoping to go back home right away. In North Bergen for Today in New York, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
Well, Governor Corzine visited with Sanderson and others making rounds of New Jersey hospitals. The governor, an emergency room patient himself, you may remember 2 years ago after that car accident, he went to Jersey City Medical Center in Palisades. The 2 facilities treated cold and injured passengers. At Palisades, Corzine saw the mother and her rescued baby.
Doing great. And the baby, you would never know, had gone through any kind of ordeal. He's happy and excited, and Mom's got her hands full.
Corzine said he saw a lot of happy people who feel they're blessed, and certainly they were.
They certainly were. Well, the miracle on the Hudson, it's caught the attention of the entire nation this morning. It certainly caught the eye of amateur photographers in our area.
That's right. We have some of their pictures. It's all coming up. Welcome back at 5:52 on this Friday morning. A live look there at the Brooklyn Bridge. And now it's time for the morning's business headlines. For that, we turn to Rebecca Jarvis. She's live at CNBC headquarters for us. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. Happy Friday, Erica and Michael. Bank of America getting a new lifeline from the government as the company struggles with losses from its takeover of Merrill Lynch. The Treasury Department will give B of A $20 billion from the TARP in return for shares in the company. And Treasury and the FDIC will also backstop up to $118 billion in potential losses on B of A's balance sheet. Now, Bank of America has agreed to stricter limits on executive pay and will start a mortgage modification program. B of A reports fourth quarter earnings later today. U.S. futures bounced higher when that news came out just after midnight and continue higher at this hour. Investors in Asia also cheered by the news. Japan's market rising nearly 3% today. European markets are higher at this hour as well. Thursday, the Dow closed up 12 points to 8212, breaking a 6-day losing streak. The Nasdaq rose 22 to 1511. Citigroup reports fourth quarter results at the top of the hour. Analysts expect the bank to report a loss of as much as $10 billion. Citi also expected to unveil details of its plan to shrink its balance sheet by a third and shed several businesses. And more fallout from the holiday shopping season. Saks is cutting 1,100 jobs, or 9% of its workforce. The department store chain is also suspending matching contributions to its 401k plan for at least a year. And Circuit City has a deadline today to find a potential buyer. The electronics retailer filed for bankruptcy in November. So Michael and Erica, if you could put the word out, you know, if anyone out there wants to buy Circuit City, just let us know.
Just give them a call. All right. We thank you very much for that. We appreciate it. Now it's time for weather and traffic on the 4s. Let's check in with Chris. Chris, I want to point out that it is 12 degrees outside.
Yeah, and we're the warm spot. Take that, William. Yeah. The suburbs are quite a bit colder. In fact, Sussex County to the north and west is actually 12 degrees below zero. They're in the negative side of zero. Meantime, if you're traveling today, very quiet nationwide. It's just cold. Eastern 2/3 of the country. 32 in Atlanta for a high, 22 in D.C. It gets back to 9 in Chicago, above zero, 5 in Minneapolis. But then from the Rockies on west, it's nice. 55 in Denver, 76 in Phoenix, 75 in L.A., and 66 in San Fran, all with some sunshine. For us today, we've got the sunshine, but we don't have the temperatures in the 60s or the 40s or the 30s. Come to think of it, not even the 20s. We're in the upper teens for a high this afternoon. Again, look for temperatures gradually getting a little bit better over the weekend, but still on the cold side. Get the weather any time of day by going to the Weather Channel or to weather.com. Let's go to Megan Meany now, get an update on the Friday commute.
Okay, Chris, we will search for the sun today. That is our only hope, I guess. Let's talk about how that plane hitting the Hudson has affected roads in the city. There are some road closures. Chambers Street at West Street and then River Terrace at Warren Street closed with some police activity this morning. Also, if you take the bus along the Hudson River, that would be the M42 and M50. Expect some delays. They are rerouting the buses to keep traffic light on the Hudson River there, Henry Hudson. Let's take a look now at 2 trouble spots. The first is Route 80 in Wayne, right at exit 53. The off-ramp there is closed this morning with an accident still. And now let's take it out to our Skycam of the Harlem River Drive. This is coming off the exit ramp from the George Washington Bridge. You can see here the delays building. That's because southbound at 116th Street, there is a right lane block this morning with an accident. So we will keep you posted on all of that and more, and we'll talk a little bit about that ferry service that's been suspended because of the plane. Coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan.
Okay.
And we, of course, have more on the miracle on the Hudson. The emergency landing of Flight 1549 was one of those moments when it seemed everyone had a camera.
Absolutely, and those who were not too mesmerized by this scene, as we look at live pictures there, well, they reacted. They clicked off a few frames. Tim Minton has a look.
It's just 5 minutes after Flight 1549 goes down when viewer Ron Sidhu takes a picture showing how fast New York Waterways ferries become first responders. This is the view from one of those ferries taken by Ted Park. Passengers line both wings, about a third in bright yellow vests. A viewer named Leo snaps the scene from shore. Another zooms in on passengers on the right side that shows how many went out the front door into a waiting raft. And as the ditch jet starts floating south, Jeff Chmielewski watches from the 20s in Manhattan. NYPD harbor patrols and other boats stay by its side. This one's taken from Fiona Dodd's apartment window in the West Village, 2.5 miles from the splashdown site. Then, when the plane gets to Battery Park City after dark, Thomas Stolarski's waiting with a camera as Flight 1549 comes to a full stop at the gate to Stuyvesant High School.
Those are amazing photos, and if you were in the area when the plane went down, you do have pictures to share. We do ask you to please send them to our website. Just go to NBCNewYork.com. You're going to find the story right there on our homepage, and we do appreciate your efforts.
Yeah, it's 5:57 right now. We'll be right back with the latest on the investigation into what plane caused that plane, to go down. Stay with us.
This morning, a special edition of Today in New York, Miracle on the Hudson. Today, NTSB investigators are in Lower Manhattan. They're preparing to survey the U.S. Airways plane that made that dramatic emergency landing in the river. This is a live picture of the wreckage still in the water.
And we're getting a first look at Coast Guard surveillance video of the moment immediately after impact when New York Waterway ferries came to the aid of the passengers and the crew.
You know, I just thought I was going to drown right there.
But thanks to fast-moving rescuers, all 155 people on board that plane were safely brought to land. It's something people are still amazed by when you see the pictures and you remember what happened.
It is the sequence of events.
It is amazing. Good morning, everybody. Just 6 o'clock right now on this Friday, January 16th. I'm Michael Gargiulo.
And I'm Erica Tarantel in for Darlene this morning. And we've been saying that weather was such a part of the story because it was unbelievably freezing. And the injuries were mostly hypothermia.
Right. Exposure, again, the water, the issue, too, because obviously that's where the plane landed. Water temperatures are upper 30s to around 40, which you really can't stay in for very long at all. In the meantime, outside this morning, you don't want to stay out in the air. very long either, because these air temperatures are at dangerous levels too. We're at 12 below zero in Sussex, 9 below up in Middletown. You get closer to the city, it's a little bit better, but 12 degrees isn't exactly wonderful either. 8 out at Islip right now, wind chills below zero in most areas, getting back to a high in the upper teens this afternoon, but it will be a bright, sunny day. That's about the best I can give you is the sunshine today.
Right. Thank you for trying.
Yeah, I'm trying.
Well, I imagine there was a lot of rubbernecking yesterday along the Henry Hudson as well when all of this was going down. If you take the ferry to work, service is suspended because of the plane hitting the Hudson into and out of the World Financial Center. There is a live look at the wreckage from yesterday. That's affected the ferry. So what they're doing is rerouting to Pier 11, where they'll cross honor World Financial Center tickets. There's also bus service between the World Financial Center and Pier 11. And from the boats to the buses, if you take the M42 or the M50, expect some delays. They are diverting the buses to keep traffic at a minimum along the Henry Hudson Highway. So that's a look at all that. We'll take it to the roads in a few minutes.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. Well, this morning we are learning more about the problems that led to U.S. Airways Flight 1549's landing in the Hudson River. The incident is being called a miracle because all 155 people on board did make it to land safely. We have complete team coverage. Ida Siegel is live out at LaGuardia Airport, where another U.S. Airways flight is about to take off for Charlotte. We're going to begin, though, with Tracy Strahan. She's live at Battery Park City. That's where the downed plane is still in the icy waters of the Hudson River. Tracy.
And Michael, there's a lot of activity down here on this bitterly cold morning. We know that NTSB investigators are on the scene. That GO team arrived shortly after that splashdown. And at its height, it was at 3,200 feet over the Bronx, traveling 180 miles per hour when both engines failed.
Each second of the harrowing moments for passengers and crew on board Flight 1549 will be combed by NTSB investigators today. Radar tapes and cockpit voice and audio recordings that likely captured pilot Chesley Sullenberger III delivering the dreaded directive to brace for impact.
We'll be looking into all aspects of the accident.
Less than 5 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte, North Carolina, the pilot reportedly radioed into air traffic controllers that the plane suffered a double bird strike, both engines completely shut down. Sullenberger, a pilot with 40 years of flight experience, made the snap call to ditch the plane in the Hudson near 50th Street and 12th Avenue, with the goal of avoiding any damage on land. As soon as the belly of the Airbus A320 hit water, emergency help swarmed into action.
As soon as my guys heard the plane, 4 boats were on site immediately.
Those New York waterway ferries served as makeshift triage for the wet and visibly shaken passengers. Miraculously, the most serious injury suffered was 2 broken legs. Investigators will now focus on the possibility of the plane hitting geese and where the flight may have encountered them.
The ingestion of a bird creates damage. That is, it'll tear up the fan blades.
They'll also likely look at ways of preventing that occurrence in the future.
A live look in Battery Park City at that partially submerged plane with its wings still sticking out of the water. Now, NTSB investigators are expected to brief us on the investigation later this morning. Meanwhile, the Coast Guard has set up a 500-foot perimeter around the plane so nothing hits it while we're in the dark. We're live in Battery Park City this morning. Tracy Strahan, Today in New York.
All right, thanks so much, Tracy. Now we have dramatic new video of moments after the plane's emergency landing. Overnight, the Coast Guard released these images from security cameras. The first shows the first ferry to respond after the plane hit the water. Within minutes, several other ferries responded, as well as 3 Coast Guard helicopters. That's what you're seeing in this video. Finally, this video shows just how strong the current was as it pulls the ferries and the plane down the Hudson. The Coast Guard stayed on scene overnight to assess environmental impact of the incident.
6:04 right now, time for weather and traffic on the 4s, and we don't want to take away from what's been going on the water and everything that's happening today. But Chris, I do want to point out we went from 13 to 12 to 11.
Yeah, we keep sliding in the wrong direction. Got to put the brakes on this one. Hopefully, it probably bottoms out somewhere around 10 or just below that. However, north and west, we're already 0 or below in some areas. The wind chills will stay below 0 through your morning commute, that's for sure. Frigid start even into the weekend tomorrow. It eases up a little bit by Sunday. That is the bitter cold, but there could be a little clipper that brings us some snow later Sunday into Sunday night. In the meantime, our temperatures shaping up generally in the single numbers nearby suburbs to 11 in the city, 11 in Newark, 13 below now in Sussex, 10 below in Middletown. They're trying to catch up. 7 in White Plains and 7 in Bridgeport, 7 out in West Hampton as well. So it's just brutally cold out there. The wind making it feel even colder. Wind chill this hour in the park about 2 below 0. We've seen wind chills as low as close to 15 below in the distant suburbs. Only getting back to 19. It will be a sunny day, just a few clouds. And again, the wind will ease a little little bit by tonight. But more cold on the way. You can get the forecast any time of day by going to the Weather Channel. They'll tell you it's cold as well.
Okay. Thanks so much, Chris. So the plane crash is still affecting traffic, Megan.
That's right. It sounds like a great day to turn up the heat in your car. Maybe you'll actually enjoy that ride today because it's cozy in there. Let's talk about some trouble spots. A structure fire is the first one. It's Route 9. It's causing some delays in the Mount Pleasant area. Here's a look at our map. It's Sleepy Hollow Road between that and Phelps Way, completely closed right now because of the structure fire. So follow the detours. Now let's talk about the Harlem River Drive FDR combination. Further south of this shot, there's an accident southbound at 116th Street. It's got a right lane blocked. Now let's take a look at the FDR going under the Manhattan Bridge, where things look pretty quiet there. But again, the trouble spot, Harlem River Drive at 116th. If you're looking for a parking space, maybe that'll be a little less trouble-free today. They have suspended alternate side parking rules for snow removal. I saw Michael do one of these.
The car won't start.
So that's something to celebrate, along with it being Friday. And yes, Erica, of course, traffic being affected by the plane. We'll talk about the ferries coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan. So more on our top story now. Many passengers of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 are staying in area hotels this morning, while others are hoping to continue their trip today. They want to get home. Ida Siegel is live at U.S. Airways Terminal at LaGuardia Airport with that part of the story. Ida.
Oh, and Erica, you can only imagine how badly they must want to get home. Today is all about hugging the loved ones, and many will do that through the airport here at LaGuardia. All of the passengers keenly aware that they are lucky to be alive.
Their family members that were on the flight.
Whether they spent the night at the Crowne Plaza Hotel near LaGuardia Airport or left the hospital emergency room only a few hours ago, this morning, the passengers of Flight 1549 are likely only now wrapping their minds around the incredible ordeal they survived yesterday afternoon.
The water came up. I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and, I just thought I was going to drown right there in the back of the plane because you couldn't move.
23-year-old Bill Zahoski describing what must have been a nightmare. The plane had hit the Hudson and no one knew what was next.
Once we saw panic with the stewardesses, then everybody started to panic. Then you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. How do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
But they did. And miraculously, every single person on that plane made it out alive. Some had minor injuries. Everyone suffered through the extreme cold in the air and the water, but they all survived. 150 passengers, 2 pilots, and 3 flight attendants who this morning are either with or on their way to see their loved ones.
Well, I gave 6 of them my phone to call their loved ones, but other than that, I kept telling them they'll be going to be okay.
We actually just did a quick walk through the terminal here. We didn't see any surviving passengers just yet, but there was a 6:30 flight, an 8 o'clock flight, a 9:30 flight. Lots of opportunities to go back to Charlotte this morning. We're live at LaGuardia Airport. Ida Siegel, Today New York.
All right, Ida, absolutely. That plane, by the way, is still in the water this morning. Dan Rice is above the scene in Chopper 4, giving us a great view. Dan, what can you tell us there?
And Michael, you see that plane still in the water there, listing to the right, the left wing sticking out of the water. Crews trying to protect the scene down there, trying to make sure nothing gets too close to it. So as a result of that situation down there, there's no service on the New York Waterway ferry service going into and out of the World Financial Center. You see that there on the right side of your picture. And because of that, with no service there, the New York Waterway ferries will be going over to the east side, Pier 11 by Wall Street. If you do take the New York Waterway, you want to keep that in mind. That's where you're going to be going this morning, and there will be shuttle service between Wall Street and the World Financial Center. Reporting live in Chopper Forum, Dan Rice, Erica, Michael, back to you.
Thanks so much, Dan, and we'll be right back with some of the other stories making news this morning, including a new push for a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict.
Stay with us.
Welcome back. An NYPD officer has been stabbed in the left eye by a man described as emotionally disturbed. Police say the man also stabbed a second officer in the hand before being subdued and arrested. The incident happened last night on Collier Avenue in Far Rockaway. The officers were rushed to Jamaica Hospital. Police say the man accused of stabbing them was taken to St. John's Hospital for evaluation. No names have been released.
A shooting involving a New York City police officer is under investigation. Police say the officer was conducting a narcotics investigation on West 163rd Street and Broadway. That's when an 18-year-old suspect pulled out a gun. The suspect was shot in the neck, arm, and torso, taken to St. Luke's Hospital, reported to be in stable condition.
Turning to the Middle East, after 3 weeks of violence in Gaza, Israel's foreign minister has meetings planned in Washington aimed at a ceasefire. Meanwhile, Israeli forces say its warplane struck 40 targets overnight. A fire at Gaza hospital forced patients to evacuate, but an Israeli spokesman says the conflict isn't its final act. A plan is on the table to suspend fighting for 10 days while security details are worked out.
Well, still ahead, our continuing coverage of the miracle on the Hudson.
Also coming up, the weekend movies. Jeffrey Lyons reviews Paul Blart Mall Cop, starring Kevin James. We'll be right back.
We both know.
Time right now for weather and traffic, so let's start with Chris, and we've been monitoring these temperatures, 11 degrees.
Yeah, it keeps dropping. It's all about layers, more layers. You'll be walking out the door like this, but nonetheless, you'll stay comfortable at least that way. We've got some bitter cold temperatures. First, the air temperatures, the wind chills making it even worse than that. In the city, we've been dropping all morning long. We're now down to a couple of hockey sticks, 11 degrees. We've got a mostly clear sky, west wind at 10, gusting to 17, humidity 56%. The pressure, that's strong. This is Arctic high pressure, always very strong at that 30, 48, and continuing to rise. What's not going up? The temperatures still sliding down. 0 in Poughkeepsie, 10 below on Montgomery. It's 11 in the city, 10 Seaside Heights, Edison and Caldwell, 9 degrees. Out east in West Hampton, 7 degrees, 10 degrees in Brentwood. And the further west you go, it gets even more brutal, really. 11 below in Cleveland right now, 5 below Cincinnati, and 17 below in Chicago with all of that snow on the ground. They're even colder than Sault Ste. Marie this morning. Wind chills, 3 below is what it feels like on most of the bus stops in and close to the city. 3 below in Newark, 13 below in Sussex, 22 below 0. The wind chill right now in Middletown, 16 below in Monticello, and 21 below in Mount Pocono. These are dangerous wind chills once you get to 10 to 20 degrees below 0, and we do have wind chill advisories in effect well to the north and west of us, but for all intents and purposes, be aware of the cold anywhere out there this morning and even on into the afternoon. Not a lot going on. You can see a lot of clear sky. When you can see the map and you can see the state outlines, you know we're in pretty good shape. High pressure's in control. Nothing to worry about. Sunshine today will be in the upper teens. That's it for a high temperature. North and west, only low to middle teens at that, but there will be a fair amount of sun throughout the day. Tonight, 9 in the Park, 8 down in Lakewood, 7 in Princeton. Then we start to get bitter cold again further to the north and west with some snow covered. 9 below Ellenville, 4 below Mount Pocono, 1 in Chester, and 8 in Hoboken. All right, here's the 7-day forecast. 24 tomorrow. I think a quiet day. We start out sunny tomorrow, end up with some clouds. A Clipper brings some snow our way. We think later sunny to Sunday night, hopefully out of here by Monday, Martin Luther King Day for the holiday, and then dry and cold Tuesday through Thursday. Update time for our traffic Friday morning. Here's Megan with that.
Yes, at least it's Friday morning. We will embrace the layered look, Chris. Let's talk about the ferries. The plane landing in the Hudson yesterday has obviously suspended ferry service that's in and out of the World Financial Center. They are rerouting to Pier 11, and they're offering buses between the Financial Center and Pier 11. But I also want to remind you, still the other ferry service, this was from yesterday, suspended, unrelated to the plane. That's between Haverstraw and Ossining, Newburgh and Beacon because of ice in the Hudson River. That ferry service also still suspended today, so keep that in mind. Now let's take it out to Route 80. This is for you New Jersey commuters westbound in the West Patterson area. 2 accidents right now that you have to worry about. Exit 53 is the first and exit 56 is the second. Now, if you're coming in from Long Island, let's take a look at the Cross Island Parkway out by the Bayside Marina. Some cars on the road there, but no trouble in that area. The LIE does still have some trouble spots after exit 61. That's eastbound, a right lane blocked, and then westbound between exits 66 and 67. But that's way out on the island. But that's a look at the roads. There you have it.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. Now, if you're looking for a movie this weekend, there's a family film. There's also a comedy opening tonight.
And the one topping Michael's list is a new movie that takes a look at the life of Notorious B.I.G. Jeffrey Lyons has our Real Talk Roundup.
He is on a mic, call the Undertaker, make an appointment and schedule an interview.
Not to be confused with the namesake 1946 Alfred Hitchcock classic, which starred Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman, Notorious this time around is the powerful biopic about Notorious B.I.G., played by debuting Jamal Woolard, the New York-based rapper who became popular in the early 90s, only to be shot to death in Los Angeles, part of the East-West rivalry. Even if it's not your world nor your form of music, and it's certainly not mine, it's a powerful portrayal. Hotel for Dogs is a silly but harmless kids movie about 2 orphans stuck with foster parents from hell and a dog who's lived with them surreptitiously. Lisa Kudrow is the stepmother, or the foster mother to be precise. Now, when the pooch strays, they find dozens of other strays in the city. We're never told where, which annoys me. And everyone camps out in an abandoned hotel. Don Cheadle taking a quick payday between important movies like Hotel Rwanda is a welcome sight in Hotel for Dogs as the kids' social worker. Preschoolers should like it, I suppose, though it does depict shelter workers as heartless thugs. They're not. At least the doggies are cute. Paul Blart Mall Cop stars Kevin James in a title role, a Marty-like lonely fat guy who patrols a mall near Chicago in his Segway looking for love at the same time. Then it becomes a poor man's Die Hard when a gang of thieves takes over the mall, and he's left inside alone to fight them. Produced by Adam Sandler, there are a few laughs which seem accidental. But if you've seen all the likely Oscar contenders, catch up with Defiance, now on wide release, starring Daniel Craig, Liev Schreiber, and Jamie Bell as three real-life Polish-Jewish brothers. In 1941, they fled the German invasion into the deep woods of their homeland in Belarus. Then they organized other refugees into a fighting force of partisans. It's a stirring true story which brings overdue glory to a trio of heroes.
Our revenge is to live.
The pickings among new movies are mighty slim, so with Oscar nominations coming up this Thursday, it's a good weekend to catch up on the likely nominees. I'm Jeffrey Lyons, today in New York.
And remember, you can catch more movie reviews with Jeffrey and Allison Bales on Real Talk tomorrow morning. They're also going to have a special interview with Dustin Hoffman. That's going to air at 10 a.m. right after Weekend Today in New York.
See, I misspoke. It's actually Paul Blart, not B.I.G. that you want to see.
That's right. That's right.
So, there we go. I'm glad we corrected that. Still ahead, President Bush says farewell to the nation.
And coming up this morning on the Martha Stewart Show, a special appearance by our good friend Sarah Gore, host of First Look New York. And they're going to talk about the best way to slice steak and Martha's favorite new culinary block in the city. That airs, of course, at 11 a.m. right here on 4 New York. Live look there at traffic, lots of it on the Gowanus Expressway this Friday morning, just days before President-elect Barack Obama takes office. President Bush bid farewell to the nation.
It has been the privilege of a lifetime to serve as your president. There have been good days and tough days of our nation.
The president took credit for keeping America free from terrorist attacks since 9/11. Mr. Bush also sent the president-elect his best wishes, calling his inauguration a moment of hope and pride for our nation.
It's 6:24 right now. Time for weather and traffic on the 4th. We begin with Chris Cimino in the Weather Center. For those just waking up, well,
right.
Get your coat ready.
Yeah, it's about hope and cope today. We're coping for the cold and hoping to get some warmer temperatures in here, neither of which is likely to happen. However, you have to cope with 11 degrees in the city right now. Same thing in Newark. It's 2 below in Monticello, 0 in Poughkeepsie. A lot of the suburbs at or below 0. Certainly the nearby burbs down in the single digits. The wind makes it feel even colder. While we're not talking about 30 or 40 mile-an-hour winds, it doesn't take much to get wind chills of 8 below, which is what it is in White Plains. 3 below in the city, 15 below in Monticello. And we'll see that throughout the course of the morning. These are dangerous wind chills. You need to obviously cover all of your extremities. You should always do that anyway. 19, the expected high today in the city. Look for sunshine and a few clouds, but a dry, brisk, and bitterly cold day. You can always get your forecast any time of day by going to the Weather Channel or weather.com. We always get out traffic by going to Megan Meany, and here she is.
I do what I can, Chris. We will keep those extremities covered up. Let's take a look at our map. Route 9 is still a trouble spot this morning. There's a structure fire there in the Mount Pleasant area, and it is definitely going to cause some delays for you. Here's a look at our map. It's between Sleepy Hollow Road and Phelps Way, where they have closed the road down. There are posted detours, so you're going to want to follow them. Speaking of detours, Chambers Street in the city at West Street is closed, and River Terrace at Warren Street. That's because of the plane landing in the Hudson. There's some police activity in that area, so you'll want to avoid it. You won't get through. That's a look at the roads. And back to you guys, Erica and Michael.
Okay, thanks so much, Megan. So back to our top story. A strange connection. A TV news anchor in North Carolina was very upset when he heard about the emergency landing on the Hudson until he found out that everyone on the plane made it out alive. Donald Jones says his father was on the flight. Jones works at the NBC affiliate in Raleigh.
Knowing he was flying today to Charlotte from New York, after talking to folks at his office, the next thing I knew, I got the call back from my sister saying, "Mom's talked to him. Mom's talked to him. He's on a ferry right now, on his way to the side." She had this came across.
Jones says his father was rescued from the front of the plane very quickly and taken to a hospital in New Jersey, but is doing just fine, like so many others. It's amazing.
It is totally amazing. And we do also want to point out this morning that there's going to be another test to make sure your television is ready for the switch to digital TV. That test is going to begin at 11 a.m. It's going to run for 5 minutes. Now, if your television is not ready for the switch, you'll get a phone number and a website that you can use for more information.
It's now 6:26. We'll be right back with the latest on the plane investigation. Stay with us.
This morning, NTSB officials are set to survey the U.S. Airways plane that plunged into the Hudson. Live picture here from the scene.
And we're getting a first look at Coast Guard surveillance video taken as passengers are picked up by a nearby ferry.
And this morning, praise is pouring in for the pilot who guided that plane after losing power in both engines, apparently after striking a flock of birds. Good morning, everybody. Coming up on 6:30 right now on this Friday, January 16th, I'm Michael Gargiulo.
And I'm Erica Tarantel in for Darlene this morning. Such an amazing story yesterday. Part of that story was, in fact, the weather, Chris. It was so cold, and it's just amazing that most people had mild hypothermia.
Absolutely. A bitter cold. Wind chills were probably at around zero, or at least in the single digits. This morning, our wind chills are actually below zero. In some locations, the air temperature is below zero. Generally 11, 12 degrees in and close to the city, but anywhere from as cold as 12 below zero up in Sussex right now, getting back to the upper teens. But we do get sunshine all day. Gets a little better over the weekend temperature-wise. We'll talk about that in the force.
Okay, because of the accident yesterday, we've had some changes to the commuting schedule, Megan?
We have. Let's focus right now on trouble on Route 80. There's some good news and some bad news. Here's a look at our map. West Patterson area, exit 56, the off-ramp is closed there still. That's westbound with an accident. The good news is exit 53, they have reopened the off-ramp there from another crash. In a few minutes coming up on the force, Michael, we'll talk about how the plane has affected the commute. We'll look at the ferries and the roads.
Okay, Megan, thank you very much. Well, it is being called a miracle on the Hudson because all the people on board that U.S. Airways flight did survive after the pilot, with great skill, guided it into the icy water. The most serious injuries reported, though, were broken legs. We have complete team coverage. Ida Siegel's live at LaGuardia Airport, where another U.S. Airways flight for Charlotte is about to take off, while Tracy Strahan is live at Battery Park City, where that plane, Tracy, is still in the Hudson River just behind you.
That's right, but I tell you, Michael, everyone is giving props to that pilot this morning. Even Mayor Bloomberg was quoted as saying he did a masterful job in that splashdown landing in which miraculously all 155 passengers and crew on board survived. Now, the NTSB GO team is on the scene here in Battery Park City this morning, and the first focus will likely be geese.
Each second of the harrowing moments for passengers and crew on board Flight 1549 will be combed by NTSB investigators today. Radar tapes and cockpit voice and audio recordings that likely captured pilot Chesley Sullenberger III delivering the dreaded directive to brace for impact.
We'll be looking into all aspects of the accident.
Less than 5 minutes after taking off from LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte, North Carolina, the pilot reportedly radioed into air traffic controllers that the plane suffered a double bird strike, both engines completely shut down. Sullenberger, a pilot with 40 years of flight experience, made the snap call to ditch the plane in the Hudson near 50th Street and 12th Avenue, with the goal of avoiding any damage on land. As soon as the belly of the Airbus A320 hit water, emergency help swarmed into action.
As soon as my guys heard the plane, 4 boats were on site immediately.
Those New York waterway ferries served as makeshift triage for the wet and visibly shaken passengers. Miraculously, the most serious injury suffered was 2 broken legs. Investigators will now focus on the possibility of the plane hitting geese and where the flight may have encountered them.
The ingestion of a bird creates damage. That is, it'll tear up the fan blades.
They'll also likely look at ways of preventing that occurrence in the future.
Back live in Battery Park City, where what you're seeing is part of that plane, the wing actually sticking out of the Hudson this morning. Now, the Coast Guard has set up a 500-foot perimeter around it so nothing hits it in the dark. And actually, bird hits are actually common. More than 7,000 were reported back in 2007. We're live in Battery Park City this morning. Tracy Strahan, Today in New York.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Well, many passengers of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 are staying in area hotels this morning, while others are hoping to continue their trip today. They want to get home. Ida Siegel is live at the U.S. Airways terminal at LaGuardia Airport with that part of the story. Ida.
And Erica, there is a U.S. Airways flight to Charlotte scheduled to leave in just the next couple of minutes. We walked through the terminal here, didn't find any of the passengers getting aboard that flight, but you can only imagine that for a number of people, it'll take a while before they get on an airplane again. And for those people, U.S. Airways is making arrangements for train tickets. Everyone today really just wanting to get home, hug their loved ones, and quite frankly, give thanks for being alive.
To meet their family members that were on the flight.
Whether they spent the night at the Crown Plaza Hotel near LaGuardia Airport or left the hospital emergency room only a few hours ago, this morning, the passengers of Flight 1549 are likely only now wrapping their minds around the incredible ordeal they survived yesterday afternoon.
The water came up. I started to get, close to my neck underwater, and you know, I just thought I was going to drown right there in the back of the plane because you couldn't move.
23-year-old Bill Zahoski describing what must have been a nightmare. The plane had hit the Hudson, and no one knew what was next.
Once we saw panic with the stewardesses, then everybody started to panic. Then you just heard the pilot, brace yourself for impact. You know, how do you brace yourself for impact when you know your plane's about to crash?
But they did. And miraculously, every single person on that plane made it out alive. Some had minor injuries. Everyone suffered through the extreme cold in the air and the water, but they all survived. 150 passengers, 2 pilots, and 3 flight attendants who this morning are either with or on their way to see their loved ones.
Well, I gave 6 of them my phone to call their loved ones, but other than that, I kept telling them they'll be going to be okay.
Just incredible. You can imagine there will be lots of happy reunions today. We're live at LaGuardia Airport. Ida Siegel, Today in New York.
Thank you, Ida. Time for weather and traffic right now, so we'll start with Chris. Chris, for people going back out to that site today, people will be looking at the remains of that aircraft. They're going to be dealing with some cold temperatures and cold water, too.
Obviously brutally cold out there this morning with the wind kicking up. We're talking about wind chills that are all below 0. In some locations as cold as 15 and even 20 below 0 we've seen early on this morning. So brutal cold throughout the day. It will be a dry day. The wind subsides somewhat tonight, but the frigid air really stays in place right through tomorrow. It eases a little bit tomorrow night as temperatures steady off a bit, and then another clipper will arrive on Sunday, and depending upon whether that gets organized offshore, now depends upon how much snow we see, but some snow is possible later Sunday and Sunday night. Right now, temperatures with no snow to worry about this morning, but you worry about these. 7 White Plains, 7 in Bridgeport, 10 below 0 in Middletown, and 13 below in Sussex, 11 in the Park, and 10 down at Belmar. As I said, the wind kicks up from time to time, makes the wind chill in the city feel like 3 below 0, and as low as 22 below 0 up in Middletown. So look for sunshine today. Again, temperatures no better than the upper teens this afternoon, and that'll do it. So more on the 7-day forecast. It's a little brighter. We'll talk about that coming up shortly.
Okay, thanks, Chris. So prepare yourself for the temperatures. And Megan, there are some changes because of the plane crash yesterday.
That's right. Probably a lot of people today thankful to be traveling in their cars as opposed to getting on a plane to go anywhere for business today. Let's take a look at how the ride is coming through the Bronx. Here's the Deegan. The major Deegan is looking good southbound and northbound by the Cross Bronx. A little bit of traffic there, but really nothing to worry about. Let's take a look at the Throgs Neck Bridge from our North Shore camera. There it is in the distance. You can see everything is moving well there into Queens or the Bronx. Now let's take it to the east side, to the East River crossings. They're all doing well. Also, let's take a look. Here's the Brooklyn Bridge. If you're heading into Brooklyn or Manhattan, it's drama-free. In fact, all East River crossings doing well. Where it's not drama-free is on the water. For that, we're going to take it up to Dan Rice in Chopper 4, and he's going to tell us about how ferry service is affected today. Dan?
That's right, Megan. You're looking at that airplane that is sitting in the water, tied up to a dock here near Battery Park City. Now, as a result of that, trying to keep the boat traffic away from that airplane, there is no New York Waterway ferry service going into or out of the World Financial Center. We bring the camera out here. You'll see the Financial Center come into the right side of your picture. So with that service out of service right now, what we can tell you is that they will be taking ferries over to Pier 11 on the east side of Manhattan, over by the Wall Street Pier. Once you get over there, there will be shuttle service taking you from Wall Street over to the Road Financial Center, but no service directly via ferry into the Financial Center here on the lower side of Manhattan. Reporting live in Chapel 4, Dan Rice. Michael, back to you.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. In fact, we have some new dramatic video of the moments just after that plane's emergency landing in the Hudson. Coast Guard released these images. They're from security cameras. Now, this is the first ferry to respond after the plane hit the water. You can see it there. And then minutes later, several other ferries responded, as well as 3 Coast Guard helicopters. Coast Guard remained on the scene, of course, all night. They wanted to assess the environmental impact of the incident. Erica, over to you.
All right, thank you, Michael. While many people worked hard to rescue passengers, one man on board the plane is being credited with selfishly putting himself actually last. Brian Thompson has that part of the story.
Oh, she was terrified.
Charlotte businessman David Sanderson talking about a mom and her baby he helped to safety. In the chaos of those few minutes, a mother stood on the wing, clutching her baby, frozen in fear.
And the people on the lifeboat kept saying, "Passengers, throw us a baby, throw us a baby," and she wouldn't do it.
From the ER at Palisades Medical Center, this Charlotte businessman and father of 4 described how they first pulled the mother out of the plane, then got her to throw the baby into a boat.
Myself and the other gentleman were just like, "Get the baby out, get the baby, throw the baby, do something." And she did, and finally we both picked her up and just threw her on the lifeboat.
Inside the plane, right after impact,
it was controlled chaos. It was, people started running over the seats, you start running up the aisle.
I asked Sanderson about the code of women and children first.
There's an old saying from the shipfaring days, woman and children first. Was it like that on that airplane?
No.
But the code was in effect for Sanderson, helping till the last person got off.
I feel that I am the last person to leave the plane. That's what I was taught. That's what you do. You do the right thing.
Sanderson told me his feet were cold, oh so very cold, worse than numb, and yet he's hoping to go back home right away. In North Bergen for Today in New York, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
And Governor Corzine actually visited with Mr. Sanderson and others. He made the rounds of New Jersey hospitals. The governor, of course, who was an emergency room patient himself just 2 years ago after a car accident, went to Jersey City Medical Center and Palisades. Those two facilities treated the cold and injured passengers. At Palisades, the governor saw the mother and her rescued baby.
Doing great. And the baby, you would never know, had gone through any kind of ordeal. He's happy and excited, and Mom's got her hands full.
And the governor also said he saw a lot of happy people who feel they're certainly lucky and blessed to have survived this accident.
Meanwhile, in Northern California, people who know the pilot of U.S. Airways Flight 1549 say they're not surprised he was able to pull off such a miraculous landing. Neighbors say 57-year-old Chesley Sullenberger is reserved, but a friendly man who loves his job.
He's extremely intelligent, very conscientious. His entire family is actually the same, and I think he is a hero.
He's remarkable anyway, so he's just a great guy.
It doesn't surprise me. Well, you know, you just kind of look at some people and you think they're very good at what they do.
Sullenberger lives in Danville, California, with his wife and 2 daughters. He's a former fighter pilot who also runs a safety consulting firm. And stay tuned to the Today Show for much more coverage of the miracle on the Hudson. Ann Curry will be live from Battery Park City, while Matt Lauer will speak with some of the passengers on that flight. It's all coming up at 7 o'clock.
6:41 right now, and still ahead, the NBA star who watched the whole plane drama unfold on the Hudson.
Also coming up, some amazing photos from the immediate moments after impact. We'll be right back.
Well, among the many people who watched the unexpected landing of that plane on the Hudson unfold was the Nets' Vince Carter. He tells the Times he was in the bedroom of his apartment in Weehawken, and he saw the plane go down. Carter said he could even hear the impact, and he called this experience unbelievable.
Of course, those are live pictures from this morning, but lots of digital cameras were clicking as U.S. Airways Flight 1549 made its emergency landing in the Hudson. Viewer Ron Sidhu snapped a picture showing how fast New York waterway ferries got to the scene. Another photo from Ted Park shows passengers lining both wings of the plane, waiting to get rescued. We have many more pictures at our website, NBCNewYork.com.
6:44 though right now, so we want to turn to weather and traffic on the floor. So let's start with Chris. We've been saying this all morning. You've been telling us all week. This was the day we were going to be cold, and it certainly is that.
It slammed pretty bad this morning. A lot of the suburbs are at 0, even below 0. Those are the actual air temperatures. And in the city, not too great either. We're still in double digits. We're at 11 degrees in Central Park. Promise of a sunny day. You can see it there, sun toward the horizon. But again, it's not going to do very much in warming things up. We're in the heart of this Arctic air mass. So with sunshine today, probably no better than the teens. Rest of the stats shape up this way. We have a busy wind. It is out of the west at this hour at 10, gusting to 17 miles per hour. Humidity 56%, pressure 30-48, and that is on the rise. We have a wind chill advisory. Distant suburbs north and west, wind chills of 10 to 20 below. We've already seen that and even lower outside of this wind advisory. So again, with the wind chill advisory in effect, just about anybody outside of town could see wind chills on the order of 10 to 15 below. And here you go. It's 13 below in Sussex. It's 22 below with the wind chill in Middletown, 16 below in Monticello, and in the city right now, it feels like 3 below 0, 5 below out on the east end of Long Island. Simply put, you don't want to stay outside for any length of time, and if you do have to be out there, of course, heavy gloves, certainly mittens actually better than gloves. You can keep your fingers together, get a little more warmth in your hands there. 11 in the Park, 9 in Edison, 9 Caldwell, Montgomery at 10 below 0, the Goose Egg in Poughkeepsie, and it's 7 out in West Hampton, 10 degrees in Seaside Heights. Out to the west, it's even more painful, actually. 5 below in Johnstown, 17 below in Chicago. That's the cold spot, even colder than Green Bay this morning. They're at 14 below. So you can see there's plenty of cold Arctic air stacked up here across the Great Lakes. That all has to filter on through. So we're in this for a while. You can also notice the movement of the clouds. This is where the jet stream's firing right out of the North Pole, central Canada, and that's why it's been so cold in the eastern half of the country. No big storms to worry about, although a clipper may approach us as we get towards the weekend. So 19 today in the city. We're talking about only in the mid-teens to the north and west of town. We get back to the 20s tomorrow. Could be a clipper with some snow on Sunday into Sunday night, and then 34, a little bit above freezing Monday, and then closer to normal as we get towards Thursday of next week. Let's see how normal the commute is so far. Megan has that.
I liked your tip about the mittens. That's a good idea. You're right. When you wear the gloves, your hands get colder. The fingers separated is not a good thing. Triple threat in Westchester right now. So let's take a look at our map and tell you what you're going to run into if you're traveling through there this morning to get to work. The first trouble spot is the Taconic State Parkway southbound at the Sawmill River Parkway in the Hawthorne area there, an accident. Then 684 southbound at exit 6 in Katona, another crash. And then finally Route 9, still trouble with a structure fire, has things closed down in both directions in Mount Pleasant between Sleepy Hollow Road and Phelps Way. Now let's take a look at the Tappan Zee Bridge. That is better news. There is a lot of traffic there. You can see the headlights. That's all coming into Westchester, but no accidents or trouble to speak of in Rockland County bound. Looks very good. Where things still are not so good is if you were taking a ferry boat to work. That service has been affected by the plane. For that, we're going to take it up to Dan Rice. He's in Chopper 4 over the wreckage. Dan, no boats today.
That's right, Megan. Those ferries so instrumental in getting passengers off of the airplane. Now there's no service on the New York Waterway line from basically going into and out of the World Financial Center. You can see the plane resting by Battery Park City, very close to the pier for the World Financial Center. So because of that, there is no service on New York Waterway into or out of the World Financial Center stop. But what you want to keep in mind is it'll take you over to the Pier 11 berth there. That's right by Wall Street. Once you're over there, you can take a shuttle bus back and forth between Wall Street and the World Financial Center, but no direct service to World Financial Center. Reporting live in Chopper 4, Dan Rice. Michael and Erica, back to you.
All right, Dan, thanks very much. 6:47 now. Still to come, the best of Broadway.
Plus, Barack Obama like you've never seen him before. We'll be right back. Welcome back at 6:50 on this Friday morning. As the temperature drops, it's a good time to stay indoors and maybe catch a Broadway show. On today's Top 4, we're looking at the top grossing Broadway shows of the week. At number 4, it's The Lion King. Third is Jersey Boys. You can log on to NBCNewYork.com, by the way, to win tickets to see that hit show. Second is Billy Elliot, the show that features the music of Elton John. And can you guess which show tops our list? It's Wicked, if you didn't guess, which earned over $1.3 million.
Still can't get tickets for that.
Right.
Well, the Today Show is coming up in just a few minutes. They're going to be discussing, of course, what we're calling now the miracle on the Hudson. Let's check in with Matt. Matt, I just have to say, again, it's amazing when you see those pictures to think that there were no serious injuries after that plane went down on the Hudson.
You know, as you guys were throwing to me, I'm standing here with the Sosa family, and these 4 members of this family, including that youngest survivor of this water landing, a 9.5-month-old baby. They're sitting here talking about what went on, and it truly is absolutely incredible. They've got a remarkable story to tell. They'll join us live. Plus, the likely source. There they are right there. We have Tess and Martin and Sophia, and Damien is the little baby right there. And just incredible how they not only got through the impact, but then got out of that plane with the help of some strangers. Also, the likely cause of all this, a bird strike, and apparently they're becoming more and more common. We're going to take a closer look at what's being done to prevent them. So we'll have complete coverage of U.S. Air Flight 1549, Al's forecast, and it's a frigid one, and much more when we start in just a little while right here on Today. Erica and Michael, back upstairs to you.
Okay,
well, it looks like they're in perfect health,
it's
so that's
great to see them.
You know what? I think they're great, but you can, I was just talking to Tess. This has been some experience,
yes.
and although it has a great happy ending, you have to realize these people have been through some ordeal.
Okay, well, thanks very much, and we're glad to see them up and about today. Thanks a lot, Matt. Look forward to that.
All right.
President-elect Obama is in Times Square this morning. Okay, it's not actually him. It's a wax, it's a wax figure of the president. He was at Madame Tussauds. The museum says 35 different sculptors are working on the Obama figure. They started back in September. You think that looks remotely like Barack Obama?
It's closer up, it's better. Close up is good.
You're right. It'll now stand in the gallery amongst other famous political figures. And of course, the excitement is certainly building for the inauguration of the real Barack Obama on Tuesday. Our live coverage of the presidential transition is going to begin on Sunday. Our own Jeff Rawson's going to be down in Washington, D.C. for that. And if you are going to be in the nation's capital for this historic event, event. We would love to hear from you. To find out how to get your pictures, your video, and your comments on our website, go to NBCNewYork.com and click on News.
An exciting week ahead. All right, we'll be right back with our top stories and a check of the forecast. Stay with us. 6:54 right now. Time for weather and traffic on the 4s. We begin with Chris Cimino, who's been talking about some really seriously cold temperatures.
Yeah, we've been advertising it all week. Unfortunately, it's here, and temperatures are below zero in the suburbs. Wind chills even lower than that in some locations. 11 in the city. That's the actual air temperature. Same number at Newark, but you can see it's 10 below at Middletown, Northwest New Jersey, and Sussex County. 13 below zero, where the snowpack's a little deeper to the north and west. The cold is a little deeper too. Wind chills makes it feel like 3 below in the park, 13 below in Sussex, so not a lot of wind there. Almost obviously the same air temperature as the wind chill, but it's 22 below when the wind kicks up in Middletown. That's the wind chill. 8 below in White Plains. We do expect sunshine throughout the day. That's the upshoot in all of this. It doesn't do very much, though, in warming things up. We start out around 11, and we go all the way up to 19. But we should get into the 20s and eventually the 30s by the latter half of the weekend. That could come with a little snow. We'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes.
Okay, looking forward to that. In the meantime, Megan, we've had a lot of traffic news today.
That's right. Brace yourself for the big chill, it sounds like, as well as a bad ride through Westchester. If that's your route, here's what you want to know. Here's our map. 3 trouble spots. The first is the Taconic State Parkway southbound at the Sawmill River Parkway. That's in Hawthorne. They're clearing an accident there. Then southbound on 684 right at exit 6 in Katona. They have all lanes shut down there right now with a multi-vehicle accident. And finally, Route 9 Mount Pleasant between Sleepy Hollow Road and Phelps Way closed with a structure fire. So follow the detours. Let's take a quick look at the East River crossings. Queensboro Bridge. Here's the Lincoln Tunnel. Hudson River crossings are only about a 5-minute wait right now. Now we'll take it to the Queensboro East River crossings. All looking good. A little slow here and about a 5-minute wait at the Midtown Tunnel. That's the worst of it. And finally, coming in from Long Island, a lot of traffic westbound LIE right there. And that is a look at the roads.
Okay. Thank you very much, Megan. Now let's get a look at the latest business headlines from Rebecca Jarvis. She's standing by at CNBC World Headquarters. Rebecca.
Hi, Erica. And Bank of America is getting $20 billion from the federal government as it struggles with its takeover of Merrill Lynch. Now, Treasury and the FDIC will also offer B of A protections against up to $118 billion in potential losses on its balance sheet. In return, B of A has agreed to stricter limits on executive pay, and they'll start a mortgage loan modification program. Now, Citigroup, they reported their fourth quarter results in the last hour. The bank says it lost $8.3 billion in the fourth quarter. As for its future, Citi says it's splitting up into 2 businesses, Citicorp, which will do traditional banking, and Citi Holdings, which will hold the company's riskier assets. And Saks says it will cut 1,100 jobs by the end of this month. The retailer also plans to cut spending and halt matching contributions to its 401k plan this year. Hope you have a great weekend. Michael and Erica, back to you.
All right, Rebecca, thank you very much. Topping our news, of course, the latest on the flight 1549 that landed right in the Hudson River.
NTSB investigators are in Manhattan this morning and will be surveying the plane, which right now is still in the water. Tracy Strahan is live in Battery Park City with the very latest. Tracy.
Well, as day breaks, there is a lot more activity here at the scene. Flight 1549 remains partially submerged in the Hudson River, and NTSB's GO team is on the scene, ready to set to start their probe. Now, those investigators will likely be looking at things like cockpit voice recorders and radar tapes. They may have captured pilot Chesley Sullenberger III radioing into air traffic controllers that his plane suffered a double bird strike upon takeoff at LaGuardia Airport en route to Charlotte, North Carolina. Both engines completely shut down. He then made the snap decision for a splashdown landing. Plane coming down around 50th Street and 12th Avenue yesterday. All 155 passengers and crew on board were able to get to safety. The most severe injury, a couple of broken legs. Well, investigators will likely focus on the fact that this plane hit some birds and how to prevent that in the future. We're live in Battery Park City. Tracy Strahan, Today in New York.
Thanks so much, Tracy. Now to Ida Siegel at LaGuardia Airport, where more U.S. Airways flights to Charlotte have been taking off this morning. Ida.
And that's right, Erica. You can imagine that those passengers are anxious to get home to their loved ones. A number of flights going to Charlotte from LaGuardia Airport, where we are this morning. A number of passengers staying at the Crowne Plaza Hotel near the airport coming from there this morning, all with amazing stories of survival, telling stories of the pilot, telling them to brace themselves for a hard impact. A hard impact it was, and yet all survived, only with cases of hypothermia. Many of them just so happy to finally be reunited with their families. We're live at LaGuardia Airport this morning. Ida Siegel, Today in New York.
Oh, of course, Ida, thank you very much. Let's go to Dan Rice. He's over the scene where the plane has ended up resting now, docked in the Hudson River. Dan.
That's right, Michael. You can see it over here by Battery Park City, part of that plane, the left side coming out of the water there. Crews trying to preserve the scene here, trying to keep marine traffic away. So as a result, the New York waterway will not be having any service going into or out of the World Financial Center, just a little south of the scene there. So if you do take the ferry to the World Financial Center, you want to keep in mind you're going to go over to the east side by Wall Street. That's where you'll be going with a shuttle. Reporting live in Chopper Farm, Dan Rice, Erica, Michael, and Chris and Megan, back to you.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Okay, more brutal cold today, only upper teens. Back to the 20s tomorrow, maybe a little snow by Sunday. Temperatures climbing back to the low 30s by then.
Chris, thanks very much. The Today Show is next.
And that's what's happening today.